FCTV viewers. I'm Jayne Spooner. I'm a University of Minnesota Master Gardener here in Rice County. And today we're going to talk about the zone. Not the zone diet or, the zip code zones or anything like that, the area codes, but we're going to talk about the new USDA Plant Hardiness map that was put out by the Department of Agriculture. And it's funny that I decided to do this because over Easter we were sitting here having dinner, and my youngest granddaughter Ella looked at me as she's sitting there eating her walking taco salad. Kind of unusual for Easter, but hey, it was fun. And she goes, Grandma, she says, did you know that March came in like a lamb? And now tomorrow on Easter Sunday, it's going to be rainy and cold, so it's going out like a lion. Now she's 5 years old. She's in kindergarten. I said, well, where did you learn that? My teacher told me that. So it's just funny how we always talk about the weather. It can come into so many different conversations, even as a 5-year-old. So I found it quite fascinating that that my 5-year-old granddaughter was relaying the weather to me. So Ella, you got a future as a weather person there. So the information that I'm going to share with you today is basically, it was done in an article on the University of Minnesota Extension Service website. It was written by Julie Weisenhorn, and Julie is an extension horticulture educator, and I've met Julie several times. I served on the state advisory board with her for the Master Gardeners. I've taken a couple classes from her at different horticulture days. She had taught a landscape seminar at one, and I just saw her last year, and she had a class for us here in Rice County. So she's very knowledgeable, and so the information that she shares with us, she basically says, share it however you want. So I feel comfortable doing this, and great person, and she shared some great information because now I can share it with you, and that's kind of the whole premise behind the University of Minnesota Extension horticulture areas, for them to share information not only with the public but with us Master Gardeners, so that I too can share it with you if that's something that you're really interested in it. So we're going to talk about the new USDA Plant Hardiness map. And there were some changes that have happened, and this is new data, and it's based on a 1991 to 2000 GIS data that was collected from over 13,000 weather stations. Now, what is GIS? It's Geographic Information Systems. Now, not something I know a lot about, but again, something for you to do some research on. Some things that they found, that they actually added some zones. We here in Minnesota are zones 3 and 4. They've actually added zones 12 and 13. Then those were added in Puerto Rico and the Hawaii areas. The new changes with this map came really as a result of the updating technology. We're seeing it, even in such things as like a mammogram, where we can do a 3D mammogram. So the resolution is going to be much higher, and you're going to get more detailed information. And with this new higher resolution that they have, it's going to give you more accurate zonal delineation, including in and around cities, mountains, and bodies of water. Sometimes within a city, they might be in that zone 4 range, but yet because of the buildings and the way cement and blacktop heats up, it really kind of can create a microclimate. If you're by a lake, the changes that you can see that you might not be where if you're inland. This is a kind of a weird story, but several years ago, my husband and I actually went to a wedding in Duluth. And it was in June, and as we came up over the crest of the hills, going down into Duluth, that was always my favorite view. The whole Lake Superior in Duluth and Duluth itself was socked in really thick fog. In fact, the father of the groom called us and said, basically, be careful, it's foggy. And we thought, yeah, whatever. And here he had been out on a golf course, and they had a hard time getting back into the clubhouse because this bank of fog rolled in so fast. So that night we went out, we had dinner, went back to our hotel room, and over the course of the evening we had this horrendous thunderstorm. I mean, I've never heard thunder that loud. Next day, got up, it was clear, but it was cool, so we walked around with our jackets, went downtown, had lunch down in Canal Park, and we're sitting there, and I was about ready to just put my jacket back on because we were sitting outside. It was chilly, but we enjoyed sitting by the lake, and all of a sudden it was like out of a movie that time just kind of stood still, and everybody just kind of stood because the wind changed direction coming in off that lake, and it was the heat that came in. Think of opening the oven door after you've had the oven, baking a cake in the oven, and that wave of heat that just comes up. It was just like everybody just basically stopped. The wait staff and everything, and this bank of hot air just rolled in, and it was just the freakiest thing I have ever experienced. So just those are the kinds of things that you can see with a climate. So the other thing that they're finding out here in Minnesota, which is what I'm going to talk about a little bit, is that you're starting to see Zone 5 coming into the southern part and the western part of Minnesota. It's even in the southernmost. You can kind of see it in various areas in Steele County where that's coming to like a Zone 5. So which means that there are some plants that that don't handle the cold weathers that might be able to survive a little bit easier, now giving you a little bit more options for plants to be perennials in your yards. So some details about the makings of this new map by the Department of Agriculture. It's a complex algorithm that allowed for more accurate interpolation between weather reporting stations. And it accounted for a lot of different factors such as elevation changes and proximity to bodies of water, which I just talked about a little bit. Temperature station data for 2003 of the USDA PHZM, which is the Plant Hardiness Zone Map, came from many different sources. Now, Minnesota is located in the north central region where data was collected primarily from weather stations of the National Weather Service and several state networks. They've collected data from 13,625 stations, which is a substantial increase compared to the 2012 map. And we'll flash that up later on in this production so you can kind of see what the map looks like, or you can go on to the USDA website and take a look at it for yourself. So the USDA Plant Hardiness Zone Map was produced with the latest version of PRISM, which is a highly sophisticated climate mapping technology. So you're going to start to see more accurate reporting. Hopefully, we know weathermen don't always get it right, but this may help us as technology changes. We'll leave it at that. As I said before, that they created two new zones, a Zone 12 and a Zone 13, which is basically very warm climates in the Puerto Rico, Hawaiian area. And what does that zone map have to do? What does that zone have to do with us here in Minnesota? Well, it allows us to monitor the weather a little bit as far as temperature changes, what's good for tropical plants, especially because we do like our tropical plants for our gardens here. So like your hibiscus, your palm trees, those kinds of things, it kind of helps us determine when's the best time to have them out and when's the best time to pull them in. So it's just added information of what temperatures that plants are going to be more sustainable at, and that you're not going to have to, that they're not going to die because of the cold weather. So here's the map. And as you can see, your color legend right here, And you're going to be able to start to see here this lighter blue area, and that's where our zone 5 area is coming into. So it's kind of creeping in, you know, not that far from us. So you will start to see some of those changes. And even around within the metro area, they're seeing some of that zone 5 temperature change coming into it, you know, where the cities are and where there's more heat and where buildings are closer, and it kind of maintains that heat. So it's going to be interesting to watch this over the next years, and when they do continuously update this map for us, because as you well know, you know, everybody wants to put perennials in their yard so that they don't have to plant every year, and this is going to give us a better indication of what we can and we can't plant. Now, I'm going to err on the side of caution. I'll still stick to zone 4 plants because that's what I know will handle the area. Until there's more data available or those plant tags change or whatever, I'm still going to follow the old rule of thumb here. And I know we still are considered zone 4, but I do have some little microclimates even in my own yard, just by the way that my house faces. Like on the south side of my house, I do tend to have things pop up a lot faster because it does stay quite warm over there and it is shielded from the wind. So again, just watch your own area, you know, and then just use this information when you are considering what you're going to plant. Now, I'm not going to really talk about climate change or you know what our government is talking about. First of all, I don't have that kind of knowledge, and I don't feel comfortable sharing it with you. And sometimes it can be a very political discussion, and I'm not going to have that discussion with you. But I at least wanted to let you know that our information is constantly changing in the gardening industry and the farming industry. So, you know, if you're looking at wanting to make some changes in your yard, you know, check out this USDA map, depending on where you live. And just use that as a good source of information. They've worked really hard over the years collecting that data, and they want to share it with you because they want you to have success in what you're doing. So this is really kind of a new and interesting thing in the area of gardening for some of us here in southern Minnesota. So read up on it a little bit. You can find Julie's article on the University of Minnesota Extension website. Just Google in, type in the search bar USDA Plant Hardiness map, and her article will pop up at the top, and you can read it a little bit more efficiently there than what I'm talking about here today. So, but at least wanted to share it with you today just to kind of give you a little bit of updated information. As I said, my job here is to help you, to teach you or to give you the tools of where to go to look to find out more information on it. And with that, I wish you the best of luck this gardening season, and happy digging.